All right, let's go live. Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of Alien Investigations, a channel dedicated to the X-Files collectible card game. I'm your host, Steven, and we are normally playing the X-Files CCG on this channel. I'm your host, Steven, and we are normally playing the X-Files CCG on this channel. I'm your host, Steven,
Something evil is happening.
Does someone have this in their TV going? Because it's creating a...
No clue what happened there.
My TV is not mine.
Oh, that was weird. Huh?
That was totally me. It was coming out of the speaker here, and I didn't even. Oh, it's on Discord. Sorry, that was my bad. It's on Discord.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. So, okay. Take two then, I guess. So, in case I ever do decide to do an edited version of this, one more time. All right.
Sorry.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of Alien Investigations. The take three.
So
hey there, everyone.
The producer on this show.
All right. This is the third and final time, guys. Seriously, this is it. I'm just going to, just march past it. All right. Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of Alien Investigations, a channel dedicated to the X-Files collectible card game. I am your host, Steven, and we are normally bringing you gameplay for the X-Files collectible card game. However, we're doing something a bit different for this evening's recording. We are going to be looking at the spiritual successor of the X-Files collectible card game, and that is the Scooby-Doo Expandable Card Game, Scooby-Doo ECG, which was brought by Journeyman Press back in 2000, a few years after the X-Files collectible card game was discontinued. And some of the very people who worked on the X-Files collectible card game were responsible for the Scooby-Doo ECG's inception. So we have them to thank for that as well. And for those of you who have never played the game, may not realize the Scooby-Doo ECG has a lot of the same gameplay mechanics and even the same objective that you would find with the X-Files collectible card game. So there's a lot of connective tissue there. So what we're going to be doing for this recording is we're going to be cracking open a bunch of sealed booster packs back from the year 2000 that will hopefully have some really cool cards, and who knows, maybe a foil, an ultra rare would be nice, something from the Alien Invasion expansion perhaps, because those are pretty hard to find. But before we get into that though, let me introduce the panel of esteemed guests who have so graciously availed themselves for this recording. Starting over here, we have Mr. David Peace joining us from Sequim, Washington, host of the Studio Sequim channel. David, thank you. You are yourself a fan of this game. You have played it probably more times than any of us present. So I thank you, sir, for joining us. Below me, we have Mike from Oregon, and Mike is the host of Matt and Mike's X-Files CCG. So if you are tuning in, you've probably already well aware of that channel. Mike, thank you for joining us. And last but not least, from the Central Standard Time Zone, for which I am also residing, we have Jonathan 𝐗-𝐅i𝐥e𝐬 joining us from Kentucky. Jonathan, thank you as well. You are also a fan of this game, so I do appreciate all of you guys for turning out for this, because this is a lot of fun opening packs of. We normally have fun opening packs of X-Files CCG boosters and starters, but I think it's even more exciting to be opening up some of these babies, as we're going to be doing momentarily. So, guys, tell us, David. I'll start with you, since you have played this game more than any of us. When did you first get into Scooby-Doo ECG?
Scooby-Doo ECG. Well, through the X-Files card game and the interviews that you and Mike have done, and if it hadn't been for that, I would never have known. And as soon as I heard that was out there, I immediately went to eBay and spent all of my hard-earned money to get. Well, actually, it wasn't a whole lot, to be honest with you. It's actually pretty reasonable to get into it. You can get a 2-person starter pack for gosh, what was it, like 10, $15 as of this recording, November 12th of 2024. But after this recording, I'm sure the price is going to go way up. But yeah, who knows, right?
It will go up insofar as the subscriber count for this channel goes up, which would be like 1 at the most. So I wouldn't worry too much about that for anyone who's aspiring to get their hands on these packs, for which there are very few. And David, thank you so much for pointing that out, where people can actually find some of the sealed product, what little of it still exists. You can find eBay's probably going to be your best go-to, because this game, Mike, as you know, was never released commercially. Can you tell us a little bit about the backstory? Because you have obviously interviewed the co-creator of this game, Brian Woodward, on a number of occasions.
Yeah, so basically at the demise of the X-Files, Brian Woodward and Dave May were still around, and they were still part of a company, a small little company within USPC called Journeyman Press. And they got licensing to a couple of things, and one of them was the Scooby-Doo collectible card game, or at least what became of that. And they worked very diligently on that. And even just today, David May sent me through the mail, some amazing new things that, wow, part of the lore, part of the history. You know how this racket goes, right? Like every time we think we've got everything figured out, something new crops up. Yeah, it's definitely the spiritual successor of the X-Files collectible card game. We've talked to Brian about it multiple times. Yeah, there's some really, really cool cards. Like, can you imagine if the X-Files CCG did foils like Scooby-Doo did? Like, how cool would that be?
That would be very cool. What would be the one X-Files CCG card you would want to have in foil if you could only have one?
Quick.
Oh, I didn't know that. What about you, Jonathan?
Deep Throat, of course.
Deep Throat, of course.
Come on.
And David, you don't even have to answer this, David. I already know Morris is the one X-Files card.
Oh, you know what David wants.
Oh, no.
Kevin Morris.
Kevin Morris, baby. Woo!
AKA,
That's right. That's
Kevin Morris Mafia.
Stephen, you have set the tone for tonight now with that. That was it.
I should go get the shirt.
You need to go off camera for just a moment and get that shirt.
But while you're doing that, though, Jonathan, make sure to grab the rare Scooby-Doo ECG relic that you are planning to show, because not only are we going to be cracking open some of these booster packs, we've also got a few things that most people have never seen before. Mike has some that he wants to reveal as well, as he alluded to earlier. So before we get to opening the cards, we're going to let the gentleman showcase some of those, and yeah, let you guys feast your eyes on some of that. Anyway, David, so really, get back to your to give you a chance to actually answer that question for real. What would be the one X-Files CCG card would you like to have in foil?
Oh, I was going to say there's an alternate art Fox Mulder agent card, the rare or ultra rare. I think I would probably go with that. That would be something that would be cool to put in a plexiglass block and just kind of put on the shelf.
Very sophisticated.
And I think it's probably not a far stretch to say that my one X-Files CCG foil card, dream card, would be not Kevin Morris.
Manners.
What's that?
Manners.
All three guys, say it all at once.
Detective Manners. Yeah.
Detective Manners.
I won't even say it.
Hands down.
I won't even say it.
Manners.
Kevin Morris's top lieutenant. No.
Top lieutenant. Yes. Yes. And preferably that foil would also be signed by Larry Musser, because like pretty much all my Detective Manners agent cards are signed by Larry Musser at this point. So that gentleman, you put a pen in him, he'll sign anything. So anyway, Mike, let's start with you. You've got some really cool artifacts from this game's brief history. Let's see what you got.
Yeah, so I got three things to show off. The first I'll show you is this is another set of the demo cards, but it's also an original set that Dave and Brian had, where they were still had Post-it notes on it. They were still trying to figure out what they wanted to do with these cards. So you can see this one still says, this one, confusing. Just got these today. Pretty cool.
What's that say in the back?
For demonstration purposes only.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
Some of the original, right? The second coolest thing is he sent me this uncut sheet that is basically a color correction sheet. So you can see,
pretty impressive.
So you can see some of these cards, like if you look at the box, No Goes doesn't even have not lyrics. Wow, text or anything.
Yeah. And Mr. Greenway, is that one of the villains / monsters, or is that one of the no? That's one of the friends, right? Because I was gonna say, if it's one of the friends, isn't their template color like orange? Correct me if I'm wrong, David.
Sure.
No,
Some pretty cool though, right? Like, yeah, I mean, it's got Shaggy on there. It's kind of reminiscent of the 6 X-Files cards, right? Like there's
yeah. Yeah, I don't have those in front of me, but yeah, that's very true. Much like how we had as the X-Files CCG was pitched to Donruss, they had 6 cards that they put forth, and we've just only recently required a number of what do you guys call them, scuds or slugs? Yeah, for the original pitch for the game, which was to Donruss prior to United States Playing Card Company. Very cool stuff, Mike. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
I got one more, man. I have not shared this with any of you tonight. This was brand new for me. I had to actually had to speak to Dave May on the phone to figure out what the heck this was. Every one of you, Dave, John, Steven, I'm going to send you one of these.
Sweet.
There's 7 in total. These are crazy. So, at first glance, these are just
they look like the border. Yeah,
the border's white instead of black. How about that?
You ready to see the back?
Heck yes, I am.
Oh, Age of Empires! No kidding.
Holy cow!
So they just used Age of Empire cards to put those on to set them the first demos.
Yep,
that's crazy.
Was that an erroneous printing or something?
So they had more Age of Empires stock, but they were still trying to figure out Scooby-Doo. And the way that Dave explained it to me was like, well, we've got blank Age of Empires cards. Screw it. Let's print them on these ones.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
That started Age of Empires 2. Did they do both Did they do Age of Empires 2? I thought. Okay.
No, just the original Age of Empires.
Okay, very well, very cool. And if anyone who's played that game knows, that has some of the best artwork we've ever seen, and those are very beautiful cards as well. And Dave May, who Mike has been name dropping since we started, is actually featured on at least, I think he's on one of those cards.
He is, cool. Yeah, Steven, I'm sure you'll throw that one in on post. But
sure.
Yeah, it's a good card.
Yeah, he's like a thief or something. He's carrying a knife. It's a pretty cool image. I can't recall the name of it right off the top of my head, but it is pretty cool. I've been wanting to get my hands on that card just so I can send it to Dave May and have him sign it. But haven't had a chance to acquire one yet. So now I'm going to bring Jonathan up to the fore here, because Jonathan also has another cool relic from the Scooby-Doo ECG that he would like to share with us. Take it away, Jonathan.
So basically, when they came out with this game, similar to the X-Files had a Gen Con deck, which everybody's very familiar with, if you're into that game. Well, the Scooby-Doo guys, they had something similar to a Gen Con deck, and we kind of saw a little bit of that from what Mike had out there. He had the for demonstration purposes only stuff, but they actually released 2 decks, which Mike and I figured that out a few months ago, that it was actually 2 separate decks. And those are the ones that have the white border. All of the demonstration decks, and all of those cards, they have the if you can see it there in the black for demonstration purposes only. And there are actually 2 decks.
You're live.
And they have a lot of that stuff. And there's actually a really good site for anybody who wants to see this stuff. It's called Scooby-Doo.fandom.com. And it has every bit of this stuff broke down into the promos, the regular cards, the expansion from the Alien expansion, the demo decks, the first one and the second one, all the pop-up cards, the foils, everything. It's very handy. So you can look at that.
And it's good to know if you're trying to figure out the rarity of those cards, because I think it lists the rarity of each one's there, doesn't it?
It does. It tells you which ones are, rares, which ones are commons, which ones are uncommons, and all that.
Very cool. And Jonathan, do you know if those were hand cut, those playtest cards?
These cards, these were the ones, they're very similar to the X-Files Gen Con deck. These were available at Gen Con. So they are more of an actual printed card that was professionally cut by a machine, that process. So these are not, these are after the, ones that you would bring up to try to say, hey, this is what we got in mind. What do you think?
So, and this might be more of a question for Brian Woodward, but Mike, I don't know if you know if the Scooby-Doo ECG ever existed in the form of these hand cut white cards that only had the text.
I've asked Brian about that. I don't believe they were.
I've never seen any.
Yeah, mainly because when X-Files failed, Brian and David May were like, oh crap, we got to hold on to this as tight as we can. Oh, what are we doing? We're Journeyman Press now? All right, sweet, we're doing this. And they didn't have the luxury that Duncan and Ron had to print slugs and play test cards. It was like, hey, you guys have the license of this, make the cards. And I think that's basically what happened. If I'm wrong, I don't think I'm wrong, but if I'm wrong, I'm sure Brian will, he watches this, he'll, correct me. But
I was hoping he might have been able to make an appearance as well, but I guess, with his schedule, it was not doable. I'm going to bring in my table at this point so we can see the cards that I'm going to be opening. As you'll notice here, I have two stacks of Scooby-Doo ECG booster packs, and actually I have 27 here, and they each contain 12 cards. And I don't have the information in front of me. I'd meant to print that off too, but if I'm not mistaken, the boxes containing a total of 36 of these booster packs, there was a guarantee that there would be one foil card. Is that correct?
We've asked Brian that before, actually, and even he can't remember because it was such a small run. You look at the X, say they printed 10 million cards. They may have printed 2 million cards.
Yeah, these cards are much, much rarer than the X.
Yeah.
And the Alien expansion ones are crazy hard to come.
Oh, I know. Even when Matt and I actually met the first time in person with Brian in Spokane, Washington, and he gave us just handed me a box of the Alien expansion deck, and I was like, "What?" And I think I sent them to David, if I'm not mistaken.
I did come into a large amount of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
if you
what
guys,
That's what the Alien expansion box looked like right there.
Oh, yep.
yeah,
So what the heck? Did you guys invite me here to make me jealous? I don't have any of this like cool behind the scenes stuff.
Well, you're getting one of those cool cards that I said. I'm going to send you one of those.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I also don't know the answer to how frequently cards from the Alien Invasion expansion would appear in these booster packs, for which, as far as I can tell, none of them were in that first pack that I had opened. But does anyone know offhand, like per box of 36 booster packs, how many Alien
Stephen, there was no duplication between the Alien expansion and the original. So they're all new cards.
Okay.
There's no duplication. Foils in the Alien expansion were like regular play cards, whereas in the original they were only the 5 characters. You know, Scooby, Daphne, Fred, Velma, and Shaggy. Those were the only foils in the original. In the expansion, it was, you know, what was it? The big one, the electric chair skeleton guy.
Yeah, the skeleton in the electric chair.
Yes, there you go. Thank you.
Yeah, I remember when we did an unboxing, Jonathan, you and I, on Studio Sequim.
Yeah, I pulled one.
If I may plug the channel there. But at the beginning of you starting to open those wrappers, like, this is the card to look for: the skeleton, the electric chair, the foil, and the parallel. You know, the regular and the parallel foil are just extremely rare. You'll never find them. And it turned out you got 1 foil and like 2 of the regular. I was like, where did you get this box?
I don't know if you could see it, but they're both there.
I think these 2 that I pulled, which are Friends cards, the Butler and Mr. Jenkins, I haven't previously encountered either of them. Do you guys know if those are uncommon or rare?
Oh, what was that website again, Jonathan? I might pull it up on my...
I've got it pulled up right now. Scooby-Doo.fandom.com.
Yeah, the Butler and Mr. Jenkins, I have to imagine they're...
Mr. Jenkins, hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, Friends cards, blah, blah, blah. This is on the... yeah, that's on the base set. Where'd you go? Well, that's what I get for scrolling up and down.
I know the few packs that I opened, you know, like after Matt and I got back, we did find a couple of foils, but we had no frame of reference.
Mr. Jenkins is a common in the original set. So what you've got right there,
Butler.
the Alien expansion cards, they have a little, Stephen, over there, they have a little bubble like on this box.
Mm-hmm.
See where it says Alien expansion on that box?
Okay.
They have a little bubble that says they're Alien expansion.
Oh, okay. So they would be...
Is it like a little flying saucer or something?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we wouldn't necessarily see any alien. We wouldn't see any alien expansion in these ones, then, right?
I don't think so. No, I don't, because they say on them if they're alien expansion or not.
Yeah.
Okay, so at best we can hope to maybe find some rare ones. Maybe like I guess would there be like 1 ultra rare per pack of 36?
The big rares or ultra rares, whatever that were in the original set were the foils of the 5 characters. Those were the big ones.
Only the foils were ultra rares, so none of the non-foils were. They were just rare or less.
Those were the only foils in the original. There were just those 5.
Okay.
There weren't any other foils. And when you get to the Alien expansion, you've got a lot of those other cards that are foils.
They did like 10 different foils for like cards or something like that.
There's quite a few. Let me see.
So then I guess the question would be, how many rares would be present in a box of in a box of these, or would they be one rare per pack?
See if it'll tell me that. This site's actually pretty good. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Card rarity is as follows. Fixed, a set number of cards, including in either a starter pack or a booster box, 36 booster packs and 12 cards per booster pack. One of the 5 stand-up cards was randomly included in each base set starter pack. 2 stand-up cards were included in each Alien expansion booster box. Common, 6 cards in each booster pack. Uncommon, 4 cards in each booster pack. Rare, 2 cards in each booster pack. Foil, 1 card in every 10 boosters.
In every 10? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we have 2 settings here.
So you should, statistically pull 2.
As far as we know, there was no real way to cherry pick the foils from
They
these.
learned their lesson.
Yeah.
There was the only way you could cherry pick the foils in these is if you had a scale so precise that it could tell the difference in the weight between the foil and the non-foil. That was, and you really need a medical grade scale to do that. If you're willing to spend that kind of money on a $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 scale, so you can get a $60 foil, well.
I heard about that lately. What was I watching? The Pokemon cards.
Pokemon was that way. Some of the early Pokemon and some of the early Magic.
Yeah. Like the foils, like you could weigh them, and like if you had a scale, you could tell if there was a foil in it, and that's why foils became more prevalent because they could throw in a foil in a deck that was just a common foil to thwart the people that were. Oh, it was an ultra rare foil. So
that was
you really need a scale that's extremely precise to tell
that was the big legend when I was at Pokemon, was the early days when collectors or even local game shops had a scale that was that sensitive, and they would open a booster box and weigh out the boosters and pick out the ones so they didn't have to open a whole box. They just
what they got was there was no difference in the wrappers. Wrappers were identical.
Yeah.
The cards were identical. The only difference was the added weight from the foil material on a foil card. And, that's not very heavy.
What are we talking, like 6-7 microns? I mean, that's
it's extremely small. I mean, you need a scale that's so sensitive. Like if you blow on it, you're going to throw it off.
Yeah.
So,
one thing I wanted to point out, Mike, this is the Mr. Greenway card that was present on that sheet you were showing earlier, and you notice the template is sort of like a swirly blue purple color, and so you can see there's quite an evolution between this and the one that's present on yours. So I just wanted to set that one aside so we can again see the comparison, and I can pull Mike's back in for just a moment. So Mike can hold
that blue swirly, those were that was a group of cards called the Friends cards. They were the friends. They were to help the guys do the investigation.
And I did find was it Snow Ghost? I did pull one of those earlier as well. Another one I just set aside was the Mystery Machine Breaks Down. I don't think I've seen this one previously.
Snow Ghost was an uncommon. He's part of Monsters and Villains.
What about the Mystery Machine Breaks Down? That's got to be a pretty brutal one for playing against I guess we would say in the X-Files terms, the investigating player.
Let me look real quick.
And I also want to welcome Mr. Jonathan Wood, currently one of our 2 finalists in the X-Files CCG 2024 virtual tournament. John says, question to everyone, would you all be interested in holding a tournament for Scooby-Doo sometime after the, like, say, the Voyager promo tournament, which Mike and I are planning next. David, Jonathan, I know you two are obviously you two are the biggest fans of the games that I know personally. So what would you guys think about that? Would you guys be interested in that at all?
I'd do it.
I'd be in. Yeah.
I'd be in. I'd say the biggest issue is going to be coming up with the cards, because these are a lot harder to find than the X-Files cards. I mean, you guys know I've got boxes and boxes, which I've got to send Mike some boxes, but I've got boxes and boxes of X-Files cards. I can come up with them all day long. I've been able to buy 1 or 2 Scooby boxes. They are very hard to come by.
Well, I like my odds of winning already.
Well,
you know, I may have purchased complete sets of the expansion and the original, but I'm not telling anyone.
Not telling anyone except the entire internet.
It's all up to interpretation. You know how it is. Okay, Stephen, the Mystery Machine Breakdown is an event card, and events in Scooby work similar to events in X-Files. It's an uncommon.
Uncommon. Okay. And also, what about the event card? This is your last warning. Again, this is one I have not previously encountered in any of the packs that I've opened.
I've seen that one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a rare, though.
Okay, very nice. And the Wolfman, which is one of the villains. Again, I feel like that might be a new one, at least for the few that I have opened previously.
Wolfman is a common.
Okay. And also, going back to what I was saying about cherry picking, one thing I want to point out is that you can, if you look pretty closely, the wrapping is almost see-through, and you can actually kind of sort of see the top card in here. Though I suppose the foil would probably be embedded somewhere in the middle of the pile, so it would probably make cherry picking a little tricky. But yeah, you can almost make out what the first card is if you look closely at the wrapper. In fact, I can read part of the game effect text. So play this card. Yeah, you know.
I've only pulled 3, maybe 4 foils from the actual packs, and they've all kind of been similar to the way the X-Files cards are. They're kind of in the middle.
Well, I've only pulled 1 foil, which was actually from a booster pack that Mike sent me, which is this one here. It's a, I guess it would be, let's be a friend, or it looks like, yeah, this would be a friend. Running Dog and Colonel Shaggy. Yeah, it's the ultra rare. It's an ultra rare foil from the. I guess it would be from the Alien Invasion expansion, but
from the Alien expansion, yes.
Yep. But I mean, I could have sworn that was just one of these booster packs that I opened, but nevertheless, it's the only one that I've actually cracked open. The other foils that I have over here to the side, which is a complete collection of the Mystery Incorporated gang, which comes to me courtesy of Mike from a contest he did on X-Files CCG a couple of years ago, right, Mike?
Oh yeah. I'm trying to remember even what it was. I think was
it around
a coloring contest?
Like time stamping on like
yes,
episodes or something like that.
It was like 5 questions, and first person to have all the correct answers won. And the questions were all from, like, I think the first season of the show.
Yeah.
And speaking of the show, do you guys have a favorite episode of Scooby-Doo that you remember from your childhood more fondly than others?
I always like, I talked to when we talked to Brian Woodward recently. There was like the race car episode where like the cars kept disappearing, and like the car would come around the side, then the fog would shift, and all of a sudden a demon car would come out, and they figured out like the demon car was like coming out and like crunching and like sitting down. I don't know. I always like that. I always thought it was cool.
So you guys remember how? And I actually was going to put it on, but I couldn't find it. You remember how Scooby-Doo did like all of the guest host with like Batman and Robin and the Addams Family.
Oh yeah.
I have. There's a collection on DVD of every single one of them, except the Addams Family, because of the copyright issue. But it's all of those guest things. I've got it somewhere, and I was going to put it on. I couldn't find it. I've actually had it on. Dave, when we did our thing, I think I put it on then, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, you had it in the background there.
Yeah. And
hey, Mike, I wanted to point. Oh, go ahead.
The Batman and Robin one is the one it's my favorite.
I do like that one as well. That's the one where the gang and Batman and Robin go up against, I think it's the Joker and Penguin, right?
Penguin, yes.
Yeah, they're dressed up as like some cryptids or something, like a troll or a dryad or something. Mm-hmm. And so they wore some pretty creepy costumes that I do remember watching as a kid that I was like, oh, that's really cool, really creepy. And then, of course, I do remember the one scene where Shaggy asks for a bat cookie.
Yeah.
Of course.
Instead of a Scooby snack, yes.
Yeah. And, of course, Batman pulls it from his trusty utility belt for which everything under the sun exists in those utility belts. The 66 Adam West Batman days. You could get
our handy dandy shark repellent.
Everything that the plot required.
Yep. Mike, I wanted to point out this card here is called Evil Teddy Bear, and I just wonder if it might have been if the card is a fan favorite of Evil Bunny.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I mean, he's. In all truth, like, and don't get me wrong, guys, I am going to have to deal with this. I will deal with it personally in a couple of months, but he is packed away in a box right now. And I know, and it's gonna suck. It's really gonna suck. Like, I'm gonna have to deal with that.
Like Hellfire is gonna shoot out of that box.
Evil Teddy Bear is an item in a comic.
Oh.
Yep.
It's a what common?
It's common, yeah.
Okay. All right. I thought you were going to say alien investigation or alien invasion common.
It should have been alien investigation.
I don't have a good sense of what the rares are from just the base set. I only printed off a list of the alien expansion one. Hollowed out log. I haven't seen that one either. Probably an uncommon one, right, Jonathan?
There's Snow Ghost, by the way. The regular Snow Ghost card. Just that we pulled up
as well.
And what'd you say, Stephen? I'm sorry.
Uncommon.
What was that card?
Hollowed out log. Featuring
it's an uncommon.
No, it's an uncommon. Okay. And a gypsy wagon. But we don't really use that term anymore these days, do we?
Well, it depends on where you're from.
So. So far we haven't seen any foils as of yet, but I have to wonder if out of the 36 that maybe I just didn't wind up getting that in the 27 that I had acquired. But again, I don't think all of them came. I didn't get all of them at once. It was like, I think I got a bulk of them in one order a while back, and then a couple more from various and sundry. So this the base set for this, you guys, you have David, Jonathan, you've acquired them on eBay, right? If I recall, they're pretty inexpensive these days. Yes.
There's actually a guy on eBay. His eBay ID is Barrett413. He has an extensive collection of pretty much everything. He has the foils. He has the base set of both the original and the alien expansion, and he sells them together. And if I recall correctly, well, I don't have to recall correctly. I can pull it up right in front of me. Let's see. He has the Alien Expansion 100 card set, and it's no foils. It's just the cards. You can get it from him for $65, or he'll sell you.
Shadow Phantom.
everything. He'll say you can get both the original and the Alien expansion sets for let me see.
For the low price of
Let's see, the
$59.99.99.
but wait,
it's the original card game and the Alien expansion for $175. That'll get you everything except the foils and the pop-up cards and stuff like that. So
I haven't seen
bucks, you pretty much have the whole game.
I'm such a notorious cheapskate. I hear that number, I'm calling, it just, I was a big fan of Scooby-Doo when I was growing up. I watched it every afternoon when I got home from school.
I watched it before I went to school.
Yeah. And so that's why I really got into this. And my granddaughter is just about the right. Well, at the time that I picked this up a couple of years ago, she was at the ripe age to start getting into this kind of thing. And it was really, if you think of the X-Files CCG that this is based on, the X-Files CCG is very in-depth, very deep game.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like an X-Files light.
Yeah, it's a much simpler version. There's much less math.
Yeah.
There's much less whatever.
There's a lot of if this then that kind of stuff. There's not a whole lot of that kind of thing. And some pretty basic math, and I thought this would be a great.
Oh, the girl dog puppet. Yep.
Yeah.
There
You don't have to do a lot of bookkeeping in this game.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. It is. I mean, you're essentially investigating sites very similar to what you do in the X-Files.
Yeah, there's not a lot of those.
There's not much
D cards.
So it's basically X-Files simply, if it were very simple. So it's great for younger players.
Yeah, that's why this appealed to me too. Is it seemed like a good card game to introduce a younger player to this and get them used to the basic concepts of the different zones on the play area and strategy, where you got to watch out for the monsters, and keep your friends in your deck and that kind of stuff.
Or you could do like I did and give your 10-year-old a deck and take him to File Fest, and he beats you and takes second in the whole freaking country.
Really? Did that happen, Jonathan?
It did happen. Yes, it did.
Your 10-year-old whipped your butt?
Yes.
Yeah.
If I were you, I wouldn't be bringing that up on the internet. That's pretty embarrassing.
Well, I take solace in the knowledge that I built his deck and I taught him how to play. It's like Darth Vader. I was but the learner, now I am the master. Well, he did that.
And if one of you guys could check the Black Knight and the Shadow Phantom. I think the Shadow Phantom's probably an uncommon one, but what about the Black Knight?
Is pretty common. I already know that. The Black Knight. The one thing about the Black Knight that is there's a promo version of the Black Knight. So there's a promo card of that.
Shadow Phantom is a common.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Where's Black Knight?
Well, I'm really going to be rounding out my set. Now, David, Jonathan, you two have played this game a handful of times. Now, as we mentioned earlier, there's a base set, which pretty much contains everything you need in order to play the game. But have you guys, in acquiring some additional booster packs along the way, have you guys done any deck building to try to come up with a lean, mean deck for your games as of yet?
In my mind, I've built the best decks ever, but I have not put the cards together for that. I played a couple games, but it was always with Jonathan and I it was Jonathan's first game and my second game, so I didn't want to. I just kept it as simple as I could, and so I just used
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the game we played. I think it was just those starters that we opened and played, which is fine. That gives you that. I mean, unlike the X-Files Premier starter decks, the starter decks on these, they're a 2-player starter deck, and you can play straight from that, and you don't have to have anything else to do it.
Yeah, it's a great little package, and I think the X-Files CCG was close to making something similar to that, a 2-player starter, box.
Well, you're letting the cat out of the bag, but would you like to see it?
Oh, you
yes.
got that? Have you got an actual? I've seen the picture. Have you actually got it?
Yeah,
that's so awesome.
Oh my goodness! This is a night of exclusives. We need to stay
crazy.
on theme here. With
we're venturing into X-Files CCG territory right now. But Mike, before you hold it up, let me just finish putting. Hold on, don't show it yet. I'm just going to finish going through these, and then I'm going to bring you into the main so you can unveil it for the few people tuning in. All right, so put this aside real quick, and we'll bring in Mr. Perrine once more.
Mike, you glorious bastard! What do you have for us?
Rare X-Files CCG relic you've come into now.
So this arrived in the mail today, and this is an original mock-up of the 2-player starter set. Let me just open that up for you here. Oh, sorry, other way.
Oh man, you're gonna tear that thing apart.
Don't break it.
I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of beat up. Okay.
Oh,
Look
snap!
at that. It's the file cabinet.
Yes, that is the picture from the Cobb site. Oh, that is awesome. Look at that.
Mike, can I come live with you just so I can play with all these cool toys you get?
My wife might be concerned about that.
Okay, can I just buy it?
No creepy stuff. No creepy stuff.
I know.
Just playing the game.
That filing cabinet has held up pretty well over time. It's just regular cardboard, right?
You know, it's regular. Well, it's regular cardboard, but like, I mean, you can tell it was handmade. It was hand cut.
That's awesome.
The deck boxes are probably in the best shape than anything else.
If I recall from the Time Machine on the Cobb site, they only estimated 1 or 2 of those to be in existence.
I think there's 3. This one, the one that I have some original photos of, and then the guy that I've been purchasing the uncut sheets and the other slugs from, he has sent me photos of one that it almost looks like the handle, like they used, like this is very much just printed, right? But the one that he has, the handles and the file cabinets are like, what are they called? It's like zip ties. Like you could almost like actually pull them.
Oh,
and
wow.
And I asked Dave May about that tonight, and I said, was that real? And like, yeah, they were trying everything and anything, but yeah, it sounds like there's only 3 of these that exist, and they're all very different. So yeah, man, that's how cool is that? Look at the back of it. That's so cool.
I need one.
Wow.
I need it.
Well, Jonathan,
we're gonna address this more, but check this out. You didn't even see this.
Oh,
there's more.
Crazy. How can it be?
Original.
Upside down.
Sorry. Original 6 booster pack prototype.
That's crazy.
And that was something that we had, I think, originally discussed with Lynette Schmidt in our interview with her briefly, didn't we? Because I don't know if we knew of the existence of that offer prior to our interview. Because we had some of those promotional sheets that Mike Mackey has been selling on eBay. They've been out there for a while. I don't know if that specific one had been out there as well, but yeah, that's yeah, that's the prototype for that, which never did make it to market, but I think it was estimated to be released around August of '97. But that's kind of when things were starting to close up for the game, unfortunately. Wow. Well, that's Donruss right there.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Jonathan, with all those spare cards you were bragging about, maybe we should make one of these like homemade on our own.
Dave may actually mention this tonight, and I think this would be really, really cool. He said, you have the tools in the trade. You know, now that you have this, what they were made of, what they were supposed to look like, and now you can recreate them. I think that's a great idea, personally.
Real men make crafts too, you know. We can do this.
All right.
Yeah.
I think if you were to do that, I would want to do one thing. I would want to make sure that we specify that the ones we create are new.
Yeah.
That there was no doubt. We're not trying to spin this as the originals. The originals are the originals, and we want them to be recognized as the originals. Yeah. If we were to create new ones, that's awesome. But we need to say, however we mark it, a date, not the original, whatever we do. I would definitely want to have a way to say, because those things, they don't have all the markings that the cards do that were actually released. So theoretically, you could release a copy that couldn't be distinguished between the original, and it could be a counterfeit, and we don't want that.
Yeah,
we want something that, hey, this was awesome. We're making a new version of it, and here it is. But we're not trying to say it's that. I would.
I think my thought, and this was just me being, me,
a creeper.
My thought: how cool would it be to do a re-release or a new release of something like this with not just the original cards, but also the Scully expansion and the Blackwood expansion? Right? So you would get something like this, and you would have two decks that would be like, second edition starter decks, but they would also include the Scully set and the Blackwood set.
That'd be cool. That'd be awesome.
I just want to point out, I'm down to my last 2 packs, and unfortunately, we haven't seen a foil yet. But Jonathan or David, if you have the site pulled up, I just wanted to check on a couple of these. From the Friends, there's Mr. C.L. Magnus and Fu-Lang Chi. Again, those are 2 I have not previously acquired, so new to my set. So I don't know if those are. I assume those are probably uncommons.
C.L. Magnus is a common. What was the other one? Fu-Lang Chi. That's an uncommon.
That's an uncommon, yeah.
And what about the Crystal Ball?
That's an event, isn't it?
Yeah, items.
Or an item. Crystal Ball's a common.
And Watch the Pre-Coin of Gold.
So
that's a rare.
Oh,
so what I'm going to do, I know you only have 1 pack left. All right, 2. And, or 2. And hopefully you're going for review value. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these up on the screen again. These are the 7 cards that David sent me that have the Age of Empires back. I'm going to offer one of these as a prize for a random subscriber to Alien Investigations. So if you're not a subscriber, you're watching this video and you're like, wow, this crap's dumb. Subscribe anyway, right? Because you might have a chance to get one of these awesome cards, okay? I'm going to let Steven take point on that, but I'm offering one of these cards to a random Alien Investigations subscriber because they're awesome. They're one of a kind. I mean, it's kind of crazy, right? Like,
if you don't get it, I will.
When I opened this box, they were folded like this. And my first thought was, why is Dave sending me Age of Empires cards?
Little did you know.
And then I saw the other side, and I was like, "Holy crap!" So, Steven, that's on you. Figure out a random subscriber. Let's send one their way. Yeah, man, that's awesome.
That sounds like a great idea. For starters, if you're interested, be sure to like this video and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. And of course, drop a comment below so you know that you enjoy the content or you hate it. Nevertheless, though, I do appreciate that, Mike, because it would be so nice just to add a few more viewers to this channel's meager audience. But I do appreciate that, and I'll give that some thought. Maybe we can offer that up on an upcoming episode on the channel once I've had some time to think that over. So that's one card from that set, which is how many?
There's only he only gave me 7. They only printed 7 that were on the wrong back. So they're one of a kind, really.
Very cool. And I'll leave it to you to decide which one, though, because you might look at them and be like, "Oh, I like this one. I want to keep that one." You decide which one you want to pull for that.
Doesn't matter. I'm gonna send. Let's see here. I'm gonna send Dave the one that says. Let's see here. Hold on. Kevin.
The Kevin Morris Scooby-Doo special.
Morris.
You bet. Yeah,
Is
the
there a
promo.
Morris crystal ball. I don't know.
Kevin Morris.
Scooby snacks every time like an item card is played or something.
Stephen, I did want to point out you got the lasso card. That's a rare.
Oh, okay. I did. I thought about sending that one aside because I hadn't seen that one either. That's really cool. So yeah, we got a rare lasso one. And finally, we have the last pack. And well, I think this one watched the pretty gold coin. That was a rare, wasn't it? So now there's 2 of them actually. So 2 of those rares. And let's see. Well, it's not looking good for the foil as this is the final booster pack we're opening here. Jeweler's Glasses. I don't know if I'd seen that one prior either. But it was nonetheless, it was fun opening these and seeing some of these beautiful cards. And of course, as I said, this is going to make my next games of Scooby-Doo ECG a little more interesting in that I'll have some options with regards to deck building. So I may be more inclined to want to pick and choose what gets added in there. And there's this one, I'll Save You, Scoobs. I don't know if I'd seen that one before either. So
Jeweler's Glasses is uncommon. Steve.
Uncommon. Okay. And finally, the alligator. So while unfortunately no foils showed themselves, but as I said, it was certainly a lot of fun opening those gentlemen. And of course, I want to thank you, especially Jonathan and Mike, for doing that bit of show and tell. It was really cool seeing some of those items, both connected to the game as well as the X-Files CCG, because we hadn't seen those outside of pictures on the Way Back When machine site prior to that. So very cool acquisitions, Mike.
Yeah, definitely. I'm in the same group chat, Stephen, with you, with David May. And I sent a message recently, like, hey, by the way, hey, did you know it's not a mail day or whatever? And then I got home today.
Veterans Day.
And I've been gone for 5 days from my home here. And Dave May made a suggestion, or not a suggestion, observation, I should say. You kind of hit it a little bit more. So, I sent it to him or sent it to you. And I'm like, okay, cool. Hey, so bug him. Keep bugging him.
Okay. Well, at the same
be on
time,
this
if you're watching, sir, the community loves you.
just keep bugging David May. And even tonight, when I talked to him on the phone, he's like, "Oh yeah, I got so much more that I didn't even dig out." I'm like, "Where did you get it from?" But yeah. So like I said, all you guys, I'm gonna send you one of these. Because this is awesome.
An Age of Empire Scooby card.
Age of Empire Scooby-Doo card, right?
And Mike, go ahead and send me a second one, which I can set aside for an upcoming giveaway. And then once I've had some time to mull that over, I will I'll announce it in an upcoming game on the channel so people can get in on it. Christmas is coming up, so maybe that will be part of maybe a holiday giveaway or something like that. So got a little bit of time to think that over. In the meantime, though, I want to say again, if you are not already subscribed to the channel, please be sure to do so. And of course, drop some comments and about the content and anything you want to see as far as like, do you want to see us play some more Scooby-Doo ECG on the channel? We've only done one game on this channel prior, but be happy to do some more for those that might be interested in seeing it. I also want to plug the 2 channels that are also represented tonight, beginning with Mike's X-Files CCG, for which you can find
Never heard of it.
Yeah. I mean, I know, right? no one's aware of that channel, and it's but yet strangely, it still has somehow more subscribers than this one does. Nevertheless, check that out, because if you want to know anything about the X-Files collectible card game, that's the place to go. That's where we've interviewed many of the people behind the game time and time again, and we have pried lots of nuggets of information about the game from those many interviews. So there's a lot of great insight to be gleaned from those episodes. So check that out. And I also want to plug Studio Sequim, for which you can check out and see some other X-Files CCG gameplay, as well as other gameplay like what help me out, David, Star Trek 24, Scooby-Doo ECG as well. You can find that kind of gameplay on there. You've also done some shows like this where you're opening up boosters and things like that. Am I right?
But you've said it all, yeah. Battlestar Galactica is coming. Also, I'm trying to get some games together with the Versus 2PCG game. There's an X-Files expansion specifically for that, and I just picked up an expansion for the boys. So I'm looking forward to jacking up Walter Skinner on some V and sending him out to kick some butt. If you're familiar with the show there. And
Can I end this on such a weird note? I didn't tell Steven about this.
This is the best way.
Another exclusive?
Yeah, kind of. So I cannot tell you where I work, okay, exactly. But you know that I work in a healthcare setting. I had a patient with the last name of 𝐗-𝐅i𝐥e𝐬.
No way.
And when I brought this patient back, my first initial thought was, there's no way, right? Like, there's no way.
Are you related to Mitch?
And I asked him, I said, hey, that's kind of a unique name. And he goes, oh, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a weird name. It's kind of rare. And I go, any relation to Mitch? And he goes, yeah, that's my cousin.
So you immediately ran home and got all of your Skinner cards and brought them back.
This isn't a HIPAA violation, is it?
This is not a HIPAA violation. I have not told you where I work. I have not told you what he was there for.
Cut the feed. Cut the feed.
You didn't tell us his first name, so there's that. Although we know it's a relation, obviously.
But it was cool. It was really cool. Like, oh yeah, he's my cousin. Yeah, I was like, wow, I mean, you know, we got to see him at File Fest, right? Like, we got to hang out with him.
Man, he was one of the coolest guys there too. He really was. I like meeting Mitch. He was very cool.
Yeah, he was very
signed a whole bunch of cards for us, and he still got a really nice signature after all these decades of signing stuff. As a result of his fame garnered from this show. So yes, he was a pleasure to talk to. You can't say enough about how much he does appreciate the fans. You can genuinely tell you're interacting with him. So yes, so that was really cool. So his cousin is he? I don't know. Not too much to want to say because he's an Oregon.
I'm really not as healthy as he is.
Yeah, I can't tell you anything about him, whatsoever, because that would be a HIPAA violation.
That would be.
Cousin is apparently not as healthy as
here, who both are working in the medical field. So who would have thought, right?
You know what? You really would be surprised how many celebrities live near where I work. If you're a Stargate SG-1 fan, holy God, do I have stories for you? But yeah, it's a cool job, and it was a cool experience. And I have not violated HIPAA whatsoever.
Only celebrities that live close to me. There's a guy that lives down the street from me, and I think Kurt would actually probably love this the most. He was one of the guys that was heavily involved in Halloween, and like the original, yes, and like the streets in my neighborhood are on that movie because they used the streets from here for a lot of it. And the guy, he's extremely weird.
Well, you kind of have to be.
But you see him go by, he'll go by in a Lamborghini Countach or a black Dodge Viper. And he's got he's got all these crazy cars that he's got this like it's a 3-bay garage, and then he's got lifts in it. So he's got like 6 cars in this thing. And every once in a while, I'm not kidding, this is not an exaggeration or hyperbole, there's like a giraffe statue in his backyard. It's like made out of stainless steel or something. There's weird crap. He owns a fire truck. He just does weird stuff all the time. And you just see this.
Doesn't everybody? Wait.
Oh, I mean, the last time you drove your fire truck,
fire truck in your yard.
Lamborghini.
I use it to go to the store. I don't know.
I get my Lamborghini out all the time.
Hey, man, I was fire department, when I started, before I became a medic. So, if I just need a fire truck. And then when you
were done, you obviously bought the truck. I mean,
I remember we were doing a burn to learn. And me and my shit faced. And I passed out.
We're losing Mike, and I definitely want to
Why are you losing me? But yeah, the fire truck actually showed up at my house to come get me.
I love it.
Yeah. Stephen, thank you so much for having me. Very late, last minute. I appreciate it.
No, I got to thank each of you guys, because this is something that I only decided upon last night. I was like, well, you know what? We haven't done an episode in a spell. And really, why don't we take just a slight detour from X-Files CCG for just a moment and showcase one of the other games that are connected with the X-Files CCG. So, yes, I actually want to thank each of you 3 for availing yourselves, because, again, this was a very last-minute show for tonight. And so Jonathan, David Peace, Mike, I can't thank you guys enough. You guys are staples on this show, and it's really always a pleasure getting to hang out with you guys and talk, and then of course sling some cardboard from time to time. We're gonna have to do that at some point. And while we're we've been discussing Scooby-Doo ECG, David, Jonathan, I know you guys have no shortage of cards in your possession. Give some thought to the tournament idea that Jonathan Wood threw out earlier. Obviously, we would need to be able to get a few more players involved who are able to acquire some of these very hard to find cards, which, again, eBay's the way to go. Give that some thought, and maybe we can look at that in the coming year. And, of course, in the meantime, while we're mulling that over, if you 2 gentlemen want to get a game on, I'd be happy to host on here whenever you guys want to throw down and, play some of this, show some people how this game is played. Maybe do a demo or something.
Yeah, that'd be good. The two-player, starter deck things that you can get, those are not hard to come by still. Those are pretty easy to come by. I mean, it's like David said, they're $15-$20. That's not a big deal. As far as the booster boxes and getting the other stuff, those are a little harder to find, but you can definitely play the game for $20.
Yeah, it's very easy to get started. And the 2-player starter pack will get you a few good games. I mean, if I remember correctly, both decks that came in are identical. You get a little, you'll get a few games in there, at least get a really good taste of how the game plays, and that's kind of what it's for, right? Is to get you to hooked in, so you start buying the boosters. But yeah, Jonathan's is right. The boosters are getting more and more difficult to come by. But
Well, yeah, because we keep opening them all right.
right, because Steven has them all in his basement.
Not anymore. That's it. That is all I've got as far as Scooby-Doo product goes. But now I've got a whole bunch of my possessions. So if you guys find that you need a certain one like that you saw tonight, I mean, really, I'm sure I can, just slap a stamp on it and throw it on the mail for you guys. So let me know if you saw anything really cool tonight. Obviously, no foils showed up. So, but hey, there's always a chance they might creep up in another booster pack opening at some point. So, guys, I want to shut the door to this mystery machine and let us drive off into the night. But before I do, I want to thank you all again, and I want to, of course, encourage anyone watching. So please subscribe, and we'll see you next time on another edition of Alien Investigations. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Steven.